there was a time where there were two doctors, Dr. Price and Dr. Pottinger, which became a hyphenated name called the Price-Pottinger studies that are, in my opinion, I don't like opinions because human opinions tend to be wrong and they tend to be faulted and foibled as we all are. So I rely on truth as much as possible. So this all derives from something called A Course in Life. And while we're doing that, before we really get officially totally started, please sign up for the newsletter to be notified of these meetings automatically. Because otherwise, what we're doing is we're notifying by text message and email, and it is a pain in the paducah. So please go to acourseinlife.com. Catherine, I don't see her in the room. She normally is here to help, but she must have thought something is wrong. So acourseinlife.com. And please sign up for the newsletter. And if you have any questions, acourseinlife.com. It's a course in life. That's not like life as in, we're living our life, not life.com. There's also going to be motivational, inspirational, educational, spiritual, uplifting, etc. newsletters going out soon. And many of them probably video based. They're going to be kind of cool, and maybe even some audio based. And we're going to be doing podcasts and other ways to help you improve your life. Okay. So back to the Price-Pottinger study. So I make sure as much as possible that what I say is truthful, because I could kill you. How? You're violent? No. But information can be violence. Control of information can be violence. So if I say something that you believe because you believe in me, you believe what I'm saying, you believe whatever, that could in effect affect a ending of your life sooner than you otherwise would have died. That is called murder. The definition of murder is, somebody takes a gun or a knife or a baseball bat, whatever, and they unfortunately, tragically knock somebody else out and they kill them. Let's think about what murder really means. It means the depriving of time that otherwise one would have had. We all die. So they didn't do anything that already was going to happen. It's just that, at least hypothetically, they took away time that otherwise would not have happened. Okay, so it's murder. So isn't information a way to kill? So if I dispense, or anybody on Amazon, the self-help section of Amazon, the biggest collection of misinformation in the world, no question about it, in history, people pumping out self-help books left and right, having no clue what they're talking about. And this is affecting people physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, etc. Blah, 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 all that body, mind, spirit stuff. To this day, I still don't know what body, mind, spirit means. I have no clue. I don't know what something about the body and the mind and spirit are one and all this. It's not. It's actually wrong. The body and mind, spirit are not one. It's A Course in Miracles, I think, is the only spiritual book that should be read. That's my opinion. It makes clear that, in a sense, the body, mind, spirit thing is poppycock. It's not a bad word. It's poppycock. It's an old-fashioned word that people don't use anymore. I like it. Okay, so the Price-Pottinger studies. So Dr. Price, Dr. Pottinger, they went about the world studying indigenous tribes, those who lived the longest with least disease, and their findings can be found on the Weston. It's Weston. I think it's WESTON, Weston Price Foundation. A woman, Sally Fallon, who I interviewed. She is a pioneer. In one way or another, she has altered your life. There's a lot of reasons that, for instance, grass-fed, which we're going to get into, grass-fed materials, food substances are available to the degree they are because of her, and raw food and all kinds of good stuff. So the Price-Pottinger studies, Dr. Price, Dr. Pottinger. So they studied indigenous tribes who were not infiltrated by any modernization, any technology, any thought that altered their trajectory that came from millions of years. So what they found was that they had stunning findings, just absolutely stunning. And in my opinion, there are people who are in control of the world. This is not political. This is just fact. When I was teaching a course in life live for 15 years, I was saying all these things, and there was no fear of anybody having political thoughts. But politics has been like militarized in a sense. It's weaponized. So anything that has even a hint of politics now is, it is a bashing of the use drumsticks, a teaching tool, left and right, and it's really, to me, kind of tragic. This is really, I think, a purposeful conquer and divide, divide and conquer. I'm sorry, said it backwards. The divide, right? So everybody hates each other, and then it's easy to conquer because nobody's on the same page and everybody's weakened. And instead of being unionized, where it's very difficult to conquer, unionization. Okay, so the Price-Podger studies, particularly Dr. Price, he found people who were living to be incredible ages with zero cancer, zero heart disease, zero arthritis, zero autoimmune disorders, goes on and on, zero Alzheimer's, as if when we get old, we're supposed to become decrepit. Where is it written in the sky that when we get old, we're supposed to become decrepit? I could see at extremely advanced ages, I'm talking plus 100 into the hundreds. I could see that eventually could be a state where, just wear and tear, that the body would probably break down at some point naturally, but not the way it's happening now, where at 85, we're supposed to be completely dilapidated and worn down and just torn into pieces. And the mind is going and all that. This is not nature. This is not God. God did not create this. We created this with adulterated food. So the government and corporations, they don't have your best interest at heart. This veganism is a psyop. What's a psyop? It's PSYOP. It's I'm sorry to say this. I truly am sorry. It is, however, the truth that corporations, they don't have your best interests at heart. None of them do. They're not thinking, and any of them, they're not thinking, these huge corporations that run the world, they're not thinking that you are important, that you care, that you matter. They don't care if you suffer, bleed, or in hell, die. They don't care. As long as they make a profit for their shareholders and their trust funds and their foundations and whatnot, and the government. If I had my druthers, I would dismantle the entire government right now. Wait, but who would fix the roads and all? Yeah, private companies would do it much better, much more efficiently, and not jam up traffic the way the government does. Just for instance, the government is not a positive entity. I understand it does do some good, but the overwhelming mass of information, mass of misinformation that they put out, which is all psyop, and it's a little political, I guess, but it's really not. They fluoridate water, just for instance. It's a lethal poison, and supposedly it keeps us from getting cavities. I can't. I have no words for the insanity. It's not insane. It's a purposeful thing. It's they're putting it in, and you ask them a question. Do you know that one drop of fluoride, pure fluoride, one drop on your tongue, you'd be dead before you hit the floor. So I don't know what anybody is thinking about. That government is good. Government is not good. Okay, so time is the best teacher. So what have people been doing forever? Think about it. They were going out and hunting and gathering, hunter-gatherers. So for millions of years, man has been going around getting his food mostly through animal, right? So only about 10,000 years ago, which is a drop in the bucket in the genetic chromosomal DNA pool, it's been a very short period of time that we started eating quote unquote vegetables and particularly grains. So our bodies are really not adjusted to these elements. And on top of that, we have this we have these well-intentioned but suicidal people, suicidal in the sense that they're doing it unknowingly. There is a doctor, Dr. Sean Baker, Shawn. I can't spell Baker, B like Baker, Baker. Yeah, I got it. I pulled it off. So Dr. Baker, he's doing profound work on YouTube, showing how the death of all the vegan influencers and the way people deteriorate just horribly. When our nails and hair and skin and such, when they start deteriorating, which inevitably is going to happen with a vegan diet, which I'm going to get into why. The hair, skin, nails, well, that's part of our body, right? It's our outside body. So bad skin, bad nails, bad hair, these are telltales that your inside is unhealthy. Think about what I'm saying. So we put creams on our skin, for instance, even good stuff like coconut cream or jojoba, whatever. That's fine. However, that's not the problem. The problem is within. I have psoriasis, but I don't have psoriasis. I have cleaned my body of psoriasis 100%. I have no psoriasis currently, where I normally look like a leper. I did look like a leper. I mean, almost not totally, but virtually covered head to toe with psoriasis. Well, that's supposed to be not possible. If you read Dr. Google, which is always a disaster. So yeah, you look up, I got a hangnail. You look it up, the first thing it says is, yeah, you got cancer. You're going to die in 30 seconds. Dr. Google is very funny. Yeah, not funny, sarcastic funny. So I have no psoriasis. I have no psoriatic arthritis, no rheumatoid arthritis. My body is completely healthy, 100%. So I have diseases that are not supposed to be healable, but they're healed. Okay. So you're looking at a success story of all these things. So also, I want to say that I respect everybody and everybody's choices. I'm not telling you that you should believe this. I'm only presenting what I feel to be as much as possible the truth. So now, if you choose for spiritual, moral, loving, whatever reasons that you don't want anything to do with eating animals and fish and such, that's your choice. Okay. And I want you to know that I respect that. And we can have a debate at the end of this. Anybody wants to debate on it, as long as it stays polite. If it gets impolite, then we'll stop the debate. That's all. Okay. So I was teaching back in the day. I really didn't hear God. God was telling me, make sure everything you say is true. Now, I got a certification in nutrition, which was no joke. Can you think about certifications like, No, it was actually very difficult. The thing is that it was built on natural hygiene. Natural hygienists believe that basically we should be eating mostly fruit, some nuts, and whatever. So I was going around telling people at that time to eat a vegan diet, and if I killed anybody, I'm sorry. What else can I say? And I apologize that I wasn't more careful in those days. In the beginning, I was full of myself, ego. I was teaching out of ego, and I wasn't careful that everything I say could powerfully influence other people. So now that Course in Life is in its new phase, its reborn phase, like the phoenix is rising from the ashes from like 10-year layover. That's a long time, 10 years. Amazing. Yeah, but that's what happened. So I was a vegan myself, literally to the point where I wouldn't even have honey because honey comes from a bee and bee is a living thing. This is really how insane veganism is. You can't have honey. If you're true vegan, you can't even eat honey because it comes from bugs. So a bug would be considered a living thing, But the joke of it is that somebody eats, let's say, corn. Now, in that corn and on that corn, this is a stalk of corn. Let's pretend there are we have the capabilities now with electron microscopes and even lesser powerful microscopes of seeing that it is riddled with living material. In fact, sometimes the weight of the corn or whatever it may be, zucchini, potato, whatever, is more living things than non-living things. So when the raw foods particularly, they eat raw foods. If you blow up the pictures, microscopic pictures of these things that are living on these raw vegetables of whatever type, kale, collard greens, whatever, these are living things. So to say that I don't eat living things, no, you don't eat larger living things. You eat living things. Well, bugs don't matter. These smaller creatures don't matter. It's all relative. Theory of relativity. I mean, what do you mean they don't matter? Like, these are living things. So, and by the way, the only reason vegans don't die within a month or so is because these living things give some little minutia of the amount of nutrients that we need to sustain a healthy, powerful life. Okay. So there I was teaching and being vegan, and I became, not the first time. There were several times in my life where I became a look alike to a Holocaust victim, not making light of anybody's family or background. All I'm saying is that I absolutely equated to a Holocaust victim. And I remember, wow, I was in, I think I was in the kitchen with mom, and I was so frail and so cold and so brittle. My hair, nails, everything was just so wrecked. And I just looked like walking death. Meanwhile, I was telling people what to eat, and people were listening to me. It's funny. So I just had a rush of instinct come through me. It's hard to explain what it was. It was like this knowingness. And I took, at that time, there was this delicious rye bread, and I toasted it. And I didn't put butter on it. It's like, you ever hear expression like, put some, put some water in your, I'm sorry, I can't remember now. You can put some water in your liquor or something. I can't remember what it was. I'm sorry. Yeah, but like, put some bread on your butter. So it was like a coating of butter that was like melting and oozing all over the bread. And when I bit into it, I felt this immense warmth and strength going literally through my body. I felt it going through my veins and capillaries and arteries, and my stomach got warm and full, and I just kept eating and eating, and I ate another one. I ate at minimally a whole stick of butter in one sitting, and I felt better than I had in years. So that was how I broke my vegan insanity, and I started to look much better right away. Okay, so when we look at vegans, you're going to see that they look very thin, and they almost always, there are some bodybuilders who have overcome it. I don't know if they're telling the truth, if they are truly being vegan, but it appears that there's a very small percent of people, very small percent, I'm talking like 1%, who appear for now that they're holding on in a reasonable way being vegan, but that is not the reason that it's working. It's just that they're a genetic anomaly. It's 99% of people fall apart, suffer, and die, and suffer very badly. Protein. This idea that we can get protein from nuts and seeds and the like is a lie. We can get some protein. We can get some degree of protein support that we need to make our muscles and sinew and tendons and ligaments and such. But eventually, trouble's coming. you will become you'll have lack of musculature, and that will lead to, also think about it, your heart is a muscle. Your heart will become weakened, and many vegans die of heart attacks. They're very young. These vegan influencers, I just saw one recently, very attractive woman she was, and she was rocking and rolling, millions of followers, and telling them, yeah, eat avocado, and this nut and that nut, and she was a nut. And no disrespect, rest in peace. She well, she still was a nut, and she wound up dying. Okay, so yeah, so protein is much more bioavailable from animal. So bioavailability, a big word. I try not to use big words. Words are called artifice when it's particular to a particular group, such as in a legal realm, we use here and after, whereof, hereof, thereof. It's all those dumb words that should be gotten rid of. Or like, you ever come out, a doctor comes out in a very serious situation in your life, whether like your mom, your dad, grandmother, grandpa, whatever is dying, and they come out and they're talking this gibberish, these big words, when they should be talking to human beings, saying, hey, I understand, we're going to do our best, this is very difficult. There are some docs who do that, but the ones who talk gibberish because they think that they're God, when people are suffering, they should be smacked in the face hard several times. You got to get the back smack good. This back smack, you get your hips into it like that. Okay, and that's a good one. The back smack cracks the lip. It's a really good way to go, and it's worth the 30 days in jail, in my opinion. So, am I fomenting violence? No, I'm just joking. I'm a entertainer. And there are oil-based vitamins. It used to be an acronym. I can't remember the acronym right now. ADEK, but I'll just say it out loud. So it used to be Adam, David. I forgot how to do it, but anyway, ADEK. So these vitamins are oil-based. They absolutely do not transfer well from vegetables, if at all. Particularly vitamin D, yes, which we do get from the sun, but we also must get it from the diet. If we don't get it from the diet, we're going to need prodigious amounts of sun, and even then it's not going to work because you need other elements from animal-based foods that help the vitamin D to incorporate. Vitamin K, Dr. Price called it the X factor. There is something called butter oil. If you want to feel better, I don't believe in supplements, but I do believe in some food supplements, meaning foods that are not necessarily broken down, but parceled into parts. And sometimes, not always, food is always king. So if you're going to take one supplement, you ask me what was the number one supplement I should take, I would say butter oil. It's very hard to find, but it's got the X factor, and it will heal almost anything. It's really amazing. Though I'm just an entertainer and I'm not making any healing statements at all. And vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 breaks down something called homocysteine. So the higher the homocysteine, big words, homocysteine, what is it? Something in your blood that doesn't help with heart attacks and strokes and such. When homocysteine goes high enough, you're going to have a heart attack, you're going to have a stroke. So vitamin B12 removes homocysteine. So this is critical to understand. So there's this idea that I'm vegan, I'm going to get my vitamin B12 from a pill. No, you're not going to get vitamin B12 from a pill. You're going to get a manufactured chemical replica of that nutrient, not the real nutrient. Okay, so this idea that we put magic in pills is not correct. So there are some food-based supplements, very few, such as grass-fed protein powder. If it's really made from good whey, which is the most bioavailable protein in the world, and it was made the right way, which is a long story, I could do a whole presentation on that alone. Yes, and it would be a good thing, but that's a supplement in a quote unquote supplement, because it's not really a supplement. It is something that is food. It's a food that just comes in a certain form, in a sense. So really, I look at supplements that are good. The ones that are good are animal based, and they come in a form that is really just a slightly modified form of the animal. Okay, so one of the politicians today, I'm not saying who's good, who's bad. I don't care about politics. Fake news. So supplements are fake news. And we have the whole industry saying, oh, get these supplements and they're going to do blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there are reasons for taking certain supplements certain times, echinacea, astragalus, whatever, ashwagandha. But these are only to balance and then get off of them. So they're not to be relied on. You woman should know that when you go vegan, that it's likely if you're going to lose your period, if you are still having menstrual cycles, you're going to be lacking in iron. You may say, well, I have iron that's too high, so I should do that. No, that's not the way to lower your iron. That's a really bad thing to do. So yeah, make sure that you are aware that there are hormonal disturbances that are caused by going on these vegan diets. It'll really wreak havoc. So let's keep moving. Okay. Let's see. Vitamin. So we have vitamin A, E, D, and K. Okay. Did a lot of, I don't actually say vitamin D. I'm sorry, vitamin A, D, E, K. My EDD is like, yeah. Okay. So, we have this idea that vitamin A can come in the form of beta carotene, for instance, from carrots, and the body will transform beta carotene, which is not vitamin A, into vitamin A. Without vitamin A, you will die. Okay, that's a lie. Most of the vitamin A that we get comes from animals and should come from animals because the beta carotene in vegetables is not transferable to the form of vitamin A that is bioavailable. So this is another reason that we should not be doing this vegan nonsense. Okay. To go vegan, it means you're going to eat a lot of vegetables. All vegetables have something called anti-nutrients, phytic acid inhibitors, mineral inhibitors, trypsin inhibitors. They have all kinds of nasty chemicals. So it's not that they're bad. It's that we've stopped eating in a way that is natural, meaning preparing our foods properly, soaking our nuts, seeds, grains and beans, or fermenting our foods, doing what indigenous peoples have been doing forever, and the price pot studies that I refer to here and above. Legal here and above, right? There you go. Lawyer speaking. I am a lawyer. That these nutrients, it's just insanity. Okay, let's keep moving. So the anti-nutrients in vegetables can be a real problem. And so vegetables, when I say vegetables, anything in the vegetable kingdom means also potatoes and grains and nuts and seeds and whatnot, and beans. So these need to be prepared properly. Now, even vegetables that we consider to be totally harmless, say zucchini or whatever. No, there's lectins and oxalic acids and oxalic acids. There are oxalates. There are enzyme inhibitors. There's a lot of things in these substances that are not good for you. So you should have some vegetables. However, cooking them, even that alone, poisons a lot of the anti-nutrients. So it is important to cook. Now, let's talk about cooking. This idea that raw food tends to marry to veganism. Well, raw foodists will tell you that foods have enzymes and we kill the enzymes while cooking. This is a total insanity. This is twaddle. Yes, some enzymes will be lost. However, to make this really simple, the enzymes in foods do not break down other foods. Your gut produces the enzymes that break down the foods quite well. It doesn't need any assistance. And the idea that a raw carrot is going to break down, I don't know, a piece of steak or something like that is insane. It doesn't do that. But even if it could, by the time it gets down the stomach system, it isn't absolutely impossible for that enzyme to be functioning when it's in the duodenum and down the intestinal alimentary canal. So this is a lie. We have a lot of inflammation and autoimmune disorder. Look at the average person. They go to fast food, order pizza. They're not soaking their foods, fermenting their foods, and really preparing their foods properly. I mean, how many people are really making their food the right way? So 99% of the population these days, like maybe 90% would be literal. They're just going to fast food joints and which don't have any care whatsoever what they're doing, whether they know it or not. I don't know, but they should, because there's responsibility. In law, we call it negligence. So they all could be sued, the kingdom come, for billions of dollars. You know what? What am I doing? I'm going to start suing huge companies and multi-billion-dollar lawsuits left and right. If I win 3 or 4 of them, yeah, hey, there we go. I won't use the money for myself, by the way. I may like buy a couple of hats, something like that, but most of it will go right back into personal life to spread the good news. Okay. And this idea, these lies that cholesterol is bad. Cholesterol is absolutely critical for good health. Cholesterol, in a nutshell, pun intended, high cholesterol levels doesn't mean you're in bad health. It is when high cholesterol levels are combined with bad eating. So you have cholesterol, okay, good, combined with bad eating, free radicals. It will bash against the cholesterol, so to speak, and the cholesterol will harden, cause occlusions, and you will wind up with trouble. Now, there's ways of avoiding that. You eat proper foods, which I'm going to get into in a minute, and the cholesterol from them will help you, which leads to cholesterol in your brain. If you don't have cholesterol, you're going to get anxious, depressed, bad things are going to come out mentally. In fact, a lot of these nutrients that come from animal foods, they profoundly help mental health. If you're feeling depressed, you're feeling anxious, just suck on some raw, like lamb fat. I'm not joking, like raw. Now, you should run that by your doctor first, okay? But I'm saying hypothetically that I would do that. Just suck on it, and you'll see like your mental state will change almost instantly. So you can go to all the groups and programs and read all the self-help books on Amazon, whatever. If you are physiologically imbalanced, unless you become ascended, you understand what the word ascension means, okay? I'm not talking down to you. Okay, ascension means becoming one with God, like Jesus did in this world while he's still in it. If you don't realize that, if you don't realize to the point where you overcome matter and reality, this is going to be true for you. So our brains need saturated fats. There was a huge movement afoot when I was, I remember it was back in, I think like the 80s, there was this huge attack on butter. And it was when all the vegetable oils being pushed. Vegetable oils create massive amount of inflammation in the body. Inflammation causes all kinds of catalytic processes in the body, these domino effect that leads to cancer, heart disease, and all this kind of nonsense. We are told that saturated fats are bad for us. It's that kind of fats that are found in animals, and eating foods that are cooked in like tallow. Tallow is beef fat, and lard and butter and such. And even, yes, there are some saturated fats that are wonderful that are not animal based, such as coconut oil and palm oil and such. So these oils are wonderful for the immune system. And when we don't have them, our immune systems go wacky and attack our own bodies, which is why this happened to me. Okay, so, but I also believe, and this is a little bit controversial, another one I know, that vaccines do not work, and that all they do is bad. And I think the people who do it are fully aware of this. But I'm just an entertainer making you laugh right now, so I made a joke. Okay, so the brain needs cholesterol. The brain needs saturated fat. Your nerves will become dried and coagulated and such, that you'll develop neurological problems and Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is not natural. And Alzheimer's is not the outcome of getting old. It's the outcome of getting old while eating or a poor diet. Listen, everybody's like, F it, I'm going to do what I want to do. I've been around a lot of dying people. Um, everyone's a tough guy or gal until they're dying and suffering. It is really a horrible state. I've seen people suffer to the point of, I wouldn't do it and I didn't do it, but I thought about taking a pillow and helping them. If you know what I mean. It's not good. Okay, so um, children. So if you have kids, particularly young kids, or you're a grandmother now, and you're hopefully have some influence if your child has gone insane and gone vegan, and you are feeding your kids a vegan diet, you're depriving them of the ability to grow normally and naturally, and their brain, their nerves, their body, their muscle, everything. They're headed for a life of hell. You've condemned them to hell. That's what you did. You put your kids in hell. It's insane. Please don't do that. I want to, if I could, like, what it's called, voluntary, I forgot the word, throwing up is a word for it. I'm sorry, I forget the word. So voluntary throwing up. If I could, I would voluntarily throw up. Like, oops, I'm sorry. Yeah, I ate some bad fish. Yeah, I shouldn't be eating fish, but I'd throw up on people. I'd literally throw up on them. What they're doing to their kids, even like animals. They see these people with these vegan, they're feeding their pets who are wolves. I'm talking about dogs and cats. They're feline. They come from the lions and tigers, and they're feeding them vegan diets, and of course horrible things are happening to these animals. I think of dogs as angels. I think they're the highest life form on the planet, and when I see that again, that explosive vomit, I wish I could do voluntarily. Yeah, just I'm sorry. Um, there's a warming cooling balance to foods, so we will get more cold than warm foods. So cooking foods makes nutrients available more than raw foods. Yes, we should have a combination of food cooked and raw. Balance is always key. You ever see that? I'm sure you've seen it. The kind of like peaceful looking yin yang or yang or ying, whatever it is, yin yang. I think it's pronounced. I really don't have no. I have no idea to pronounce it. I've been corrected a million times in public by people, and I was lecturing, and I still don't care. I think it's yang to me. It looks like yang to me. That's fine. So um, there are doshas. So in Ayurvedism, there's Vata, Kapha, and Pitta. So Vata is all air. I'm a Vata. So you see angular, thin. You will generally become Vata imbalanced. Even if you are still a little bit heavy, you'll become Vata imbalanced if you keep eating a raw food diet, and it will eventually wreak havoc. So the doshas, Vata, Kapha, Pitta, if you want to look that up, it's DOSHAS, doshas, or dosha, singular, DOSHA, dosha. If you look into that, you'll see that Ayurvedism, which is the longest and most ancient healing tradition on the planet, that it teaches that the doshas must be balanced, and that some level of animal products must be brought into the fore. Okay, let's keep moving. Calcium. So there's old people who are getting knee replacements, hip replacements. They're falling, breaking their hips, and dying sometimes from it, by the way. Again, this idea, the Price Poncher studies, they was seeing people 115 years old working in the fields, absolutely more work than anybody here has done probably in a year. Okay. And, no rest, no watching Netflix, binging all night long, this kind of stuff. This is not what the body was intended to do. If you're Netflix binging, you're suicide binging. Okay. You're not moving, you're just moving your body. So calcium is just so critical, that we get enough calcium because our bones need that calcium. So your bones need to stay strong. To get calcium from vegetables is virtually impossible. Um, so just really understand that you're headed for probably a fracture, a break at some point, replacements of body parts that never should have gone bad in the first place. I've seen humans turn around, including me. I've been told that parts of my body were shot and need a replacement, or I was even beyond replacing for my shoulders, for instance. I couldn't even move my arm a little bit off my body, where now I have full movement. I am a semi-professional fighter, and yeah, there's nothing wrong with anything. All the joints in my body that were allegedly destroyed, they're absolutely perfectly fine. When I say perfectly fine, I mean 100% fine. It's not about, yay, I'm so good. No, it's about anything that I did, you can do. There's nothing special about me. There's nothing special about my body, my blood, my bones, my hair, and my being. There's my insides, my soul. Anything that I've achieved, you can do as well. That's what this is all about. The course in life is really just an extension of my healing journey. Okay, so magnesium. You're not going to get magnesium well from vegetables and fruits and such. So what's going to happen is, without magnesium, you're going to feel anxious, and that's why magnesium, when it's in a food form, not a factory fabricated form, people do feel less anxiety. So that is something that you want to make sure you get a lot of magnesium through your foods. So let's move to a very big topic: grass-fed. So you may say, I'm not vegan, so no big deal. Yes, big deal. Grass-fed animals, so they should be grazing, or turkeys and chicken, poultry and such should be eating worms and bugs and things like that. So the red meat side would be eating grass. The white meat side, so kind of like turkey, chicken, etc., poultry, should be eating not grains. Even like you'll see it's amazing. You'll see in Whole Foods or something along those lines. This is a natural chicken. It doesn't say free range. It must be free range. So these animals must be eating as they've eaten for millions of years. So animals eat grass, or they eat bugs and worms and such. Okay, it's not disgusting. It's a cycle of life. And so when we eat grass-fed animals, we get critical nutrients, and also the flesh and the byproducts, milk, cheese, dairy, whatever it may be. These are infused with good anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids, as opposed to omega-6 fatty acids. All vegetable oils are bad because they all have omega-6 fatty acids, which cause inflammation. I will do a lecture, if you wish, on inflammation. And the inflammation is deleterious to health and is leading to trouble sooner or later. So, by the way, if you have any ideas or any thoughts of any things you want me to speak on, let's just assume that there was with no ego intended, a guru who could speak on anything and everything, everything possible, like a magic genie. You rub the bottle and poof, could teach you anything about anything with your body, your mind, your spirit. Let's assume that such being existed. I have no idea who that is. Let's just say there was. What would you like to hear? What topics? So please put that in the chat room, or again, go to acourseinlife.com. You can email through there. And again, please join the newsletter. It's very important. All right. So grass-fed foods, they have high levels of omega-3 fatty acids. So that's really critical. Okay. So you're thinking, well, I just went to McDonald's, or I went out to Outback, whatever, got a steak. No, better than veganism, but it's one sliver of the powerful effectiveness of grass-fed. So all of your food sources should be grass-fed. or if it's poultry, it should be free range. This is really important. And I'm not saying that a little bit of not grass fed is going to, kill you, but it's going to kill you. It's not enough just to eat animals and their products. It's that you have to do it through grass fed. Very important. There is a company, I don't remember the name of it offhand. They do it where they create animal products with, excuse me, hiccups so great during the presentation. It's hard. So they make sure that they do it in a way that when they slaughter the animals, that there is no histamine. So I did a lecture, and I'll do it again soon, on why we don't want histamines in our foods. And I can tell you from the last year that I've had one of the most profound transformations in my lifetime. So just from doing that. Okay, so we're almost done. I'm going to open up the room. There's this notion that being vegan is spiritual, that I don't eat animals, so therefore I am higher nature, higher spiritual nature. All this nonsense, just poppycock. That's not true. God doesn't support suicide. Veganism, as I've been laying forth the case as if I was in a trial right now, I've laid forth a pretty darn good sealed case that it is suicidal. God doesn't want you killing yourself. It is totally natural for things to eat things. Remember that raw things have things on them. You're eating, no matter what happens, you're going to eat things. Half of your body, minimally, are things living on you and in you that you need. We're in symbiosis. We work synchronistically with the world. When we eat of an animal, we partake of it. I give thanks every time to the animal gave its life for me. And I partake of the animal spirit and the strength of that. And so it is an honoring. It is not a bad thing. This idea that it's more spiritual than to not eat. Well, Jesus wasn't a vegan. Buddha wasn't a vegan. So why know some yogi, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Do you know the yogi for sure is not behind closed curtains, sucking on some flesh or something? Yeah, you don't know that. Okay, and to close this up, please, really, grass-fed meat products. If you want to know the name of that company, I'm sorry, I don't have it written down. I forgot to write it down. Where I get my meats from, it comes to your door frozen in a box, and dry ice frozen, where it hurts your hands when you take it out. I put gloves on because I can't even handle the how cold it is. So and it has no histamine, so it's flash frozen, butchered, slaughtered, butchered, and frozen within hours, not days, as in most foods. Okay, so that brings us to a close of veganism is suicide. So don't do it. But actually, one more thing I want to say. There is a diet called the Gerson diet, Gerson. It has done, now the FDA doesn't like this, so I'm going to make sure that we're clear that I'm only speaking as an entertainer. The Gerson diet has cured many people of incurable diseases, particularly cancer, where people were given last rites. They were given the Gerson diet protocol, and they transformed pancreatic cancer in its last stage, stage 4, and the like, and they have turned it into a victory. So a lot of that is done through eating raw foods and juices. Now, I want to say something about that so you don't get confused. Well, if it worked to heal cancer, then it would work all the time. No, for a short-term burst to clean the body beyond the scope of this conversation I can have right now, it's taking about an hour to explain this. It will work, but if you keep doing it long-term, you'll become depleted of nutrients. You become rife without them. So you should you should not do that long term, but there are some benefits to doing short term blasts of only juicing, or if you are tragically hit with the big C, that you could do the Gerson therapy. And people have come to me with cancer. I have turned them on to that, and I've seen people turn their cancer around. So because the chemo and the radiation, all jazz, is not healing it; it's only suppressing it. And something like 95% of people with the successful cancer treatment after 5 years are dead. So you're not hearing that, okay? And it's one of the largest industries, money making industries in the world. Okay, so with that, this is Christopher the author. We're going to end the recording. So from A Course in Life. So again, I want you to please go to A Course in Life. When I say I want you to, if you feel so inclined, acourseinlife.com, and please sign up for the newsletter. The newsletter is going to be really fun and interesting and provocative, all kinds of good things. And A Course in Life, which is a 3-month course, is going to be made available. We're working on it. It's going to take some time, but it will get done within 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. When it gets done, it gets done, and it'll be available online. And that's going to be really groovy, so that anybody anywhere in the world can reap the benefits of A Course in Life.